Hello there, it's Jay here from Jay's Vintage Junk, and today we're back on with the Siemens PG-730. What I plan to do today, obviously if you remember from the last video, we got to the point where we had this thing all up and running, but the floppy drive would not read discs. So what I plan to do, basically get inside it, will sort the floppy drive out. I don't know if I'm going to see if I can fix that one, or I have actually got a good known tested floppy. We might actually just stick that in there for the time being at least, so we can get the thing up and running. What I also want to do, if at all possible, is archive the hard drive out of this, because as far as I can tell, and I've spent a few hours messing about with this thing, the hard drive in this is absolutely as it would be to run this as a PLC programmer. All the software's there, and it all seems to work as it should do. So if I ever did want to put this back as a PLC programmer, I could literally put this back on there. I might also see whether I can possibly image it and upload it to somewhere like archive.org or somewhere like that, because I'm sure there's people that have got these machines and something's happened to the hard drive and they don't have the operating systems or anything to run on them, and possibly there are people that still want to actually use these for their intended purpose. It's really weird, this machine. It runs 3 operating systems basically. I've been playing with it, and we've got MS-DOS on it, MS-DOS version 3.3. We also have this thing called FlexOS, which I've done a little bit of looking into FlexOS. The problem with FlexOS is that Google have brought out a version of Chrome about 12 months or so ago called FlexOS. It's a version of Chrome that will run on older hardware, not this old. Unfortunately, so when you Google FlexOS, all you get is people talking about this Google Chrome version. I've searched on YouTube, I've searched online anywhere, and I find very little about the actual original FlexOS operating system. The only thing I really found was an entry in Wikipedia saying yes, it was an operating system from, I think it started in the mid-80s and went up to sometime in the 90s or early 2000s. And it was an operating system intended for control applications, industrial uses. I think it was a multi-user operating system, as you could have multiple users on it and things at the same time. So I do really want to do some more in-depth look into that, this FlexOS. But as well as that, this thing also runs CPM. It actually has CPM 86 on it, which is the obviously the 8086 version, or the 8086 family version of CPM. Obviously CPM originally, when it first came out, was designed to run on the 8080 and the Z80. The Z80 being basically a modified version of the 8080. The reason I think behind that is I've actually found some earlier of the Siemens machines from the early 1980s, and they were all just dedicated CPM machines. Still exactly the same type of thing as this. PLC programmers, but they ran CPM. And I'm guessing the idea with this is that you could run, using the CPM 86 on this, the older softwares to program the older type of PCL controllers using this hardware. So yeah, it does have CPM support on it, which is kind of cool. I do have other systems that, you know, were natively designed that CPM was one of the operating systems to run on them. The like the apricots that I have, the Apricot XI and the F series and stuff like that, they could either run their version of MS-DOS, which is not what will run on a standard PC, or they could run their version of CPM 86. So it's cool to have a system actually running it, and I can actually boot into CPM on this system. I've got this basically a start menu up, and we've got start S5 DOS, then we've got format, duplicate and verify disks, so it's actually got a utility built in on this menu system just for testing disks. Then we've got our standard load MS-DOS, load Flex or load CPM 86. So just to quickly we'll hit F8, and this is literally booted into CPM 86 now. If I do a DIR, this is basically running CPM as far as I'm aware. My knowledge of CPM is pretty poor, shall we say. It's a very, well, the only other system that I use CPM on reasonably amount is my 380Z, because I mean that's a CPM system. I have an Amstrad as well, which I really do need to repair. In fact, actually my Amstrad 6128s, they all run CPM as well. I just don't do it very often. But that is running. I think we can do it. What can we do? I don't even know if there's anything in here that I can just particularly run. In fact, what we'll do, we'll shut the computer off now, and we'll actually get on with what I was meant to be doing in this video, which is cracking into this thing and see if we can fix that floppy disk and see if we can possibly image the hard drive. Now, again, that might be a little bit harder than I was first thinking, because I think there's two partitions on the hard drive, one which holds the CPM side of it, and the other side which holds the MS-DOS and the Flex OS side of it. That's, I think, how it's actually done. We might be able to find out more about that when we pull this out and we can stick it in another computer and interrogate it a little bit easier. So yeah, let's crack on with that. So we'll shut down. Now I have been looking, I did manage to get the service manual for this thing, and it does explain how to actually get inside it, and it's not quite as easy as you'd first expect, because actually to get inside the computer you need to take the screen off, and that seems to be quite an involved process in its own right. We'll just get the power disconnected from it. Now, first thing it says we need to do is these little plastic plugs on the side of the screen need to come out. Now this one unfortunately is already broken. It just actually fell apart. I should be able to glue it actually and make it something like, but the plastics on this thing are not in brilliant condition. So anyway, we take them out, and I think you're meant to be able to have to use a screwdriver to pop them out, but they're both cracked. Yeah, I think that one, that one's going to snap as well, so they both need gluing. Right, then apparently in here there's some, oh, was it really that easy? There's a pin that you pull out. Oh. Right, okay, so that's that side out. Right, and then I think what you have to do is there's another one of them on this side. Now, yeah, you have to hold that down like that. And let me just get some pliers. And I think what you have to do is basically just pull this other pin out. I think that side might be broken. I think there's a little clip missing. But let's see if we can... Unless you... No, you can't just lift it up and slide it off. No, you've got to get this pin out from this side. Right, let's have a look here, see what we can see. So that puts tension on it. I think you have to hold it in a position where you've not got tension on the spring. That's it. So you've not got tension on the spring. And then you can get hold of that. There we are. And pull it out. Right, okay. Then we shut the lid again. Now, what it said, once you've got those two pins out, you can lift the screen forward slightly and it unclips. So, there we are, lovely. So we can actually take the whole screen out as one unit. In fact, that's going... We can also see what's rattling about inside it, but that's going to be nice for us to actually play about with that to see what we can do with that screen. So let's get that out of the way. And we're down to the actual main system itself. I think all that's going to be alright, nothing's going to drop out or anything. Now what it says to do is to tip the computer up like that, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 fixings. I think that's all of them. But with this being an industrial system rather than a home system, it doesn't use Phillips screws, it actually uses Torx. So I'm hoping one smaller than that, and we've got a Torx that will fit it. Yes. So let's pop these screws out. One out. 2 out. Oh. Poo. Let me see if all that go in there. Oh, look at that, lovely. We'll have to use our extender. I think that's out. Let's get these last few screws out and we can take our first look inside this system. There we are. That's those out. Let me see if I can get it down and get them. Screws going everywhere as normal. That's 2 more. God, they're chunky screws as well. That's 4. Right, where's the last one? There he is. He's still holding his little hole. There we are. Right, now it should be a case of lifting the top off. Oh, hang on, there's something at the back there. What's holding it there? Oh, there's something holding it at the front there. It might just be little plastic clips. Just bear with me a second. Yeah, little plastic clip there holding it. I want to be super, super, super careful with this plastic though, because it is. Oh, there we go, lovely. It's off. Oh, hang on, and then we've got to disconnect the keyboard. Ooh, right, okay. Let's take that off and wow. Ooh. There we go, another bit of screen fell off there. Right, okay, cool. Interesting. So this is a bit of a beast inside, isn't it? I just noticed we've lost a sticker on one of the ROM chips there, so I will straight away. I'll just put a little thing over the window on that because we don't want. Obviously, we know that it's working at the moment. We don't want it to stop working. So the best thing we can possibly do is we'll just cut ourselves a little piece of. Where's that just gone? Oh, there it is. We'll cut ourselves a little piece of tape and we'll just put that over the top of that EEPROM there, because we don't want that to go bad. And I've just realised this is things like a seriously multi-layer board. Well, a multi-board computer, sorry, rather than a multi-layer board. I think this is a little bit different to the one that I saw online, actually. Is that ID or is that SCSI? It's got to be ID, and it is ID. Right, so there's our floppy drive, and that looks fairly standard. It's a TIAC unit, actually. So first things first, let's pop the floppy drive out. I've got that disconnected. We've got a Torx there, a Torx there, a Torx there, and a Torx there. So let's get them Torx screws out. smaller size for that. Let's go down a size. In fact, I should really put my anti-static on at this point, seeing we are actually getting down on the board. It has a stonking amount of RAM. Well, it's got 4 megabytes on board, but all with these Siemens, so they're even using their own branded RAM. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 24. As far as I can see, there's 36 RAM ICs there. Now, according to what I've, the service manual, there should be some SIM sockets on here as well for additional RAM. Apparently, it can have up to, depending on what configuration of sticks you use, you can have up to 20 megs of RAM on this system, which for a 386, and it's not a 386 that's like being used for a file server or running like Xenix or something like that. It's a computer for a specific purpose. 20 megs of RAM would be a ridiculous amount. Alright, that's the last of them out. So we've got 4 of them out, and we should just be able to take the floppy drive out. Lovely. Oh, and look what we have on that floppy drive. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't know whether there's any on that board there, but I've a pretty good bet that's what's wrong with this floppy drive. It's suffering from leaky capacitor disease. In fact, round there I can see, just from my eye here, they've leaked and the corrosion is all over that part of the board. So I'm not even going to bother looking at this at the moment. I know that's a bad floppy drive. It's probably fixable. It's probably going to be a case of taking everything off around here and cleaning up and replacing them capacitors, and it should work. Although I have seen these where these TAC drives in particular, where them capacitors have leaked and they have just destroyed everything around here. They've destroyed traces, they've destroyed that IC there, which is the driver IC for the actual stepper. Not stepper, the brushless motor there. But yeah, I'll put that to one side and we will have a look at that in the future. Because it is just a standard PC floppy drive, and I have another perfectly functioning, well, I've tested it and it works fine, standard PC floppy drive here. The only problem we're going to have is that, yeah, that's going to work, but the that's not going to work because of the way that that's configured there. Damn. So I'm going to have to see if I can find yet another good working floppy drive, but a good working floppy drive that's the same same configuration. If you look at the back of these, you can see that the power is on that side on the faulty drive, but it's actually on top of the connector on the good drive. And the red stripe is over on that side facing the power connector on the original drive, and it's actually the other way around, and the red stripe is pin 1 on that side on this drive. Now in a PC it wouldn't matter a jot, it would work perfectly. Unfortunately, in this, with the fact that that's your disk drive cable, that's your power cable, it ain't gonna fit. Now, yeah, I could quite easily change that out, cut that up, extend it, bring it over here, everything would be good. But I don't really want to start hacking this thing about unnecessarily, and I'll just go and have a check in my other disk drives and see if I've got one that will fit that a little bit better. But for now, for the moment, well, there's our backup battery. So we'll carry on doing what we were doing. We still want to pull that hard drive out so we can see if we can get all the data off it and save it. I'm still interested to see whether we do indeed have an some sim expansion memory, because this seems to be in somewhat of a different configuration from the one that I saw in the service manual. It's definitely different at the back with the way where them connectors are installed. I'm just really hoping this thing does have an ISA slot on it, because the one that I looked in the manual had 2 ISA slots on it. I think this one just has 1 and it's buried right down under there, so they definitely did change this about somewhat. Right, well, we know that that's dead because that's what it's complaining to us about, so let's get that out of here. Cut the cable tie. Fortunately, we don't look like we've had any leakage. Can't see any battery leakage whatsoever on here. And the other thing I can't see are any of those surface mount capacitors like on the drive. I can't see any of those on the board. I think this doesn't actually use them. We've got some tantalum capacitors down on the main board there, but again, those are the type that I've never really seen any issues with. Got some surface mount standard electrolytics as well on the board. Again, don't usually have an issue with them. Apart from that, we've got, I presume those are probably Nishikon capacitors there. We'll have a quick check of them because they do have a tendency to leak after about 30 odd years. A massive edge cable going down to the bottom board there. Right, what's going to be the best way of getting this out? First things first, let's get the lithium cell out. That is a 3.6 volt AA lithium cell, so we can probably replace that with a CR2032, because I don't think that's a rechargeable one. Yeah, do not recharge. So we can replace that with a CR2032. It's not going to last as long as the original battery, but that's not an issue. Let's get that out of here for now. And I think that's one of the things we will be doing in this video is we can chop the wires off that. That can be disposed of safely, and we can replace that with a CR2032. A little holder, and we'll put the holder somewhere safe in the computer and plug it back into there. Right, let's get this hard drive out. Disconnect the power from it. I'm interested also to see what make of hard drive they've used. We know it's a 40 megabyte hard drive, so it's not exactly huge, but we'll probably, I want to definitely archive it, and then I'll probably put this into storage, and we'll probably put something bigger in the computer for us to play with. Might even be solid state, I might even go SSD. I don't know yet. At some point we're also going to have to go into that power supply and see what's happening with the power supply. Right, let's get this cable disconnected. Oh, that's tight. Oh boy, that's tight. There we are. Back of that's come off, but that's no problem. You reconnect, put that back on there. It's just popped off. Some of the plastics are rather brittle in this system, but there we are, that's fine. No damage done. Let's take the hard drive out, and we have a Connor. Now a lot of people say, oh, very reliable Connor. Personally, I've had a lot of Connor drives fail, especially the earlier ones like this. Service logic chip on it there. But yeah, we've got a very basic bog standard Connor 40 megabyte hard drive. So let me put that to one side. Let's put it somewhere very, very safe, so I don't want to bash it or anything. And let's have a little bit of another look further down into our system. So this is what I was saying about the video. On the like I said, what is in the service manual, that's kind of like a separate. That's down on the board there, basically. This is on this top board on this one, so it must be a later revision. I just want to see how I get this, basically this out, so we can have a look down on the bottom PCB. But what I don't want to do is risk doing anything where I might do any damage. I really, really don't want to do any damage to this system. It's quite nice. Got some very, very cool old school quad flat packs there as well. Chips and Tech. That's probably the main chip for the chip, the chipset on the board. So it uses a Chips and Tech. Well, Chips, sorry, not Chips and Tech. That's a different company. It uses a Chips chipset by the look of it. That up there will be the video ROM. Seeing that, I think those two are our system ROMs. I think that up there is our video ROM. I really want to copy them as well. I want to take an image of them. Oh, hang on, what's that one then? So we've got two EEPROMs on this top board. Obviously this also contains some of the stuff for the actual programmer, and all the hardware that's dedicated to this being a PLC programmer is all on this top board as well. But so is like some of the I/O, like the disk drive controller and things like that, are all up on this board. The VGA output is all up on this board. So it is a little bit different to the one that I got the manual for. I'm trying to figure out now how we get, and it's full of dust bunnies. Like big dust bunnies. Let's get them out of the way. That's our power for our hard drive. We can move that out of the way. Yeah, and we will have to go into there at some point and just make sure everything is happy in there. Can't see any reason why it's not, because it does fire up and everything does seem to work. I'll just fire up have the soldering iron switched on in case we need it. And I'm going to try and gently get these two connectors off. There, that's one off. These are big. In fact, they look very, very much like in a complete ISA bus. A shorter one there, and we've got a longer one there. So we've got the 8-bit bus there, we've got 16. Wow. So is that how they've done it? Yeah, I think that's what they've done. So horrible, we might not have. Let's have a look. Let's get that off there. Let's get that off there. Pull them up. That's off there. So what hopefully I can do once I've got the other screws out is I think we should be able to lift this entire basically this entire sub-assembly off and get ourselves down to the main board underneath. So we've got some more screws to undo. One here. Unfortunately those are exactly the same. Right, there's that lifting. That's free there. I think this back plane has to come out as part of that. Does that go further along? No, it goes to there. So there are an awful lot of screws in this system, I'll say that. I just really hope we do have a at least one ISA slot down there and they haven't just deleted it. It could be a, you know, they could have decided, oh, we don't need that, and deleted it from the design. Oh no, that's not that. I don't need to take that out. I'm taking the wrong bit out there. And put that back in. Yeah, that's better. Let's get that screwed back in. And it's these top ones I think I need to take out. Right. Because they hold this top piece in there that's got all the connectors on. Right. Is that free? Yeah, that's free. Look, that's free there. It's free there. There, fixed down there. Right, we've got a screw down there. We've got a screw up there as well. Right. Oops, my big head's in the way into it. Right, hopefully. That's free there. It's being held there by the look of it. Perhaps we do have to take this bracket off. And this one here. There we go. Get them out of the way. No. There's a big screw down there holding it. That's the bigger one of them. So they use multiple different Torx bits on this, which isn't very easy when you're servicing it or working it. You have to keep constantly swapping between, you know, a T10, a T9 and a T8. Right, what else is holding it? There's something else down there that is not allowing that to lift up. Oh, fun! To get that out, you have to take this board off first. So we've got the back of that free. Swap back to another smaller Torx bit. Going in under there. Over-engineered is a slight understatement on this thing. They went to town rather a lot on the engine. Oh, there's another one. They went to the town on the engineering on this overkill. And again, I don't know what this thing cost in 1989, but I'm pretty certain it wouldn't have been cheap. Right, that's off. Right, okie dokie. Oh, power there. That's disconnected. Aha, awesome. Oh, I am pleased to see that at least. Let me just get them off there, some little bits of broken plastic, but that is basically like a multi-IO card. That's all you can really describe this is, complete with video. We've got what I'm guessing by the way that this is all here, that basically that's the 16-bit bus there. That's your standard ISA bus. And then all that this is it's got your disk drive controller, it's got your hard drive controller, it's got your VGA on it, all just in one, like, and then obviously it's got the, you know, special stuff for programming the PLCs, which is basically that connector there and that connector there. There's an extra thing. Oh, that's what the monitor plugs into. So that's your VGA connection for your monitor there. Which hopefully is standard VGA pin out with some power, and we can do something interesting with that. But we'll put that. In fact, what we will do while we've got it out like this. Check them coils out, they're huge and a bit icky. What I do want to do very, very quickly, like we just did on the Toshiba you saw me work on recently. These are the same type of, are they Nishikon? I can't actually see them brand on them. They look like Nishikon, a Rubicon, no Nishikon, but I'm just going to do a quick smell test around these capacitors. No smell so far. No. But basically all I'm smelling for is that horrible bad fish smell, which indicates that the capacitors are starting to leak. And no bad smells. Let's quickly go around these ones, but these ones generally speaking don't leak. Nope. So we don't have, that doesn't say that they're perfect capacitors. What it means is that they are not starting to spew electrolyte out of them, which for now is all that I'm really concerned about. So let's get that out of the way. I'm going to have to be super careful with them because they are literally just soldered to the board, come straight off to connect to that. There is our ISA slot, which is one of the things I wanted to see. So we do have a proper ISA slot in this. Cool. It is an absolute mare to get through though. That is a pain in the whatnots to get to. What I haven't seen though is the SIM sockets which it showed on the one that I was looking at. So I'm hoping that they are buried somewhere under. Then again, we're not going to need more than 4 megabytes on this thing. There's very little point unless you're actually doing something productivity wise that needs it to have more than 4 megabytes on a 386. I mean, there are, you know, if you're doing CAD or, you know, massive databases or it's some form of server, then I'm sure you would, but not for what I'm using it for. I need a smaller. Not the right one. No. I'll actually be able to stay in, shouldn't it? And then, oh, I don't know. The instructions were so good to get us so far, and now I'm not so sure. Take this plate off. I don't think this is going to do anything though. No, that's just an inspection plate off the back. I'm pretty sure I've got all the. Let's take the power supply out. Yeah, let's get the power supply out because we want to have a look at that anyway. going to come out. No, more screws. Interesting about that motherboard actually, the fact that it looks like that motherboard was designed for multiple different uses, because we actually have the silk screen on it there for standard ISA slots. Now I know Siemens did make PCs, so were they just whoa! Check that out for a power connector. Bloody hell! This is what you get with industrial. That's your power connector there onto the motherboard. And this uses a full this is not the same. This is definitely not the same as the one that I have the service manual for. I can tell you that straight away because it used an SX25 on one of them little surface mount SX25s. This has got that is a DX. That's got an Intel DX 25 processor in it. We still have the co-processor slot there for a maths co, but no, that's got a DX processor in it. And the other thing I can't see is any way to upgrade the RAM, which the other one definitely had. The one that I've got the service manual for, so it definitely used 30-pin Sims. But then again, it's got 4 meg on board, and why would you ever really need more than 4 meg on, especially something that was designed for, like I say, a specific use. It wasn't just a generic computer for whatever. This was designed for this particular task. Now, are you going to come out now? What's holding that in now? It's them 2 screws there, isn't it? And then we can get right down onto the main board and have a look. I'm not too bothered about the fact it hasn't got the SIM slots. I am really pleased to see it's got at least one ISA slot. I think you do have to take hold. There's going to be a lot of reassembly on this thing. This thing is ridiculous. The engineering on this is mad. Right, that's another bracket off. In fact, that might have something put in it before it goes back in. Right, okay. Now hopefully we can lift this metalwork out. There we go. We'll disconnect the speaker. And there we are. There is the main board in all its glory. But no, we do not have SIM sockets. So it's definitely a different version than what I have the service manual for, and I didn't realise there was, you know, 2 specifically different versions of the main board. But as you can see, there's our RAM. So we've got 4 megabytes of RAM, all there. It does use chipset, 386 chipset. Rather a lot of them. I don't know whose VGA it uses, but I think that's keyboard controller there. Obviously that's our ROM BIOS there. Yeah. And like I said, one really nice thing I can say about it is there is no nasty capacitors which are likely to leak or cause any damage on this main board. It should actually be absolutely perfect. We have to be so careful with them because they are already starting to break up. I don't really want to be going in this thing a hell of a lot, to be honest. Once we've got it working, that should really be it. We'll leave it at that and put it back together. Yeah, because we could have issues with if they break off, we're not going to be able to reconnect easily that board with the VGA and everything else on it. And those are the type of cables that like to break for fun. That's a problem. Everything else on here looks absolutely fine though, absolutely tickety-boo. In fact, I think I've just found that label that dropped. Yes, I have. That is the label that fell off the other ROM there. So we can actually glue that back. We can glue that back in place like that. Right, what I think I will do, let's get the tweet as well. It's not even that dirty or dusty in here. There's just a few, you know, random dust bunnies, probably from it sitting for so many years. It's not bad actually. I was expecting to find a few more, especially considering I found them ones before. But no, that is quite clean, and the board's nice and clean. There's nothing really nasty on that board. Right, I think what I will do is I will pause the video. I will throw this mostly back together. You know, the bits we've just all taken out now. I'll get all of that. Should I have a look at the power supply at this point as well? Although the power supply does seem to be giving it... Oh god, that's full of gunk. Yeah, I think we're going to have to do at least a little bit of look at the power supply, because the fan is absolutely full. In fact, I could take that down into my other workshop and blow it out with the air compressor. Might be as well to do that, because there is quite a bit of muck and rubbish in that power supply. So I'll do that off camera anyway, because it's just all it's me doing is firing the air compressor up and just blowing all the dust out of it. I don't think it's going to need any more than that for the moment. It does look rather complex to get into, and there is a lot going on in that power supply. It's multi boards. That's a board. There's another board there. There's some boards. Yeah, wow, that's quite a fancy power supply. Sometimes it's a case of leave sleeping dogs lie. We can always test to make sure we've got some sensible voltage. Well, we know we've got sensible voltage because the computer's working without any major issues. But we can just test that before it goes back in. Right, I will pause the video. I'll get most of this back together, and then we can have a look at that hard drive, get that fired up on the other system, and see what we can do about archiving that data off it. So I'll say back in a sec. Right, okay, we are back, and as you can see I've got most of this back together now, and that is quite a faff. It took quite a while to get it apart. It took even longer to get this thing back together, but I think I've got everything where it should be, and I don't think I've broken anything. What we're going to look at now is that floppy drive there. So I went back, basically this is the dead one. As you can see, we have the connector on that side, power on that side. Now, first one that I dug out, which I know is a test good non-working drive. Unfortunately, it's on the wrong side, so we'd have to mess about with all the wiring. I don't really want to do that. So that one's out. So I went and I actually pulled this one out of my DEC 486. I thought this would do. This is completely wrong. This has got everything on the wrong side, so I'll have to go and stick that back in my 486 up in my office. So I've actually had to resort to, I've just pulled this out of the Win98 bridge PC that we've been building, but this will do for the time being. It should actually fit. The connections are all on the right side, so hopefully this should actually fit and work. We've got pin 1 on that. That should, yeah, this should actually fit and work perfectly. Unfortunately, it's got a black bezel on it, but this will only be staying in there until we can perhaps either sort the original one that came out of this out, or I can find a more suitable drive to go in here. But at least with this in, we can actually load discs on it and what have you. Right, first thing we need to do, we need to take the brackets off this one. And I'm pretty sure this is going to be a cap issue on this drive. So maybe we'll do a video on just seeing if we can get this drive serviced and up and running again. I'm sure there's hardened grease and things in there as well, but I'm pretty certain that the main issue is going to be those electrolytics on that motor board, because I don't remember recalling hearing this drive actually spin. I heard the head seek, but I don't actually know whether it span a disc, and that's a pretty good indication that those have gone bad and it's not actually spinning, or if it is spinning, it's spinning at the wrong speed. Right, so we'll put that away for looking at in the future, and we will stick this one with the black fascia in. I think, is that where it's going to want to go? Yeah, that's going to be fine. Right, so I'll get these brackets on here and hopefully we can get this to line up and go in. This one's on. That's not right. Is that about the same for that? Yeah, that's about right. I think these brackets have been made so it can, you know, mount different actual floppy drives in here. So if you swap these round a bit, and they have got slots on the fixings to cater for slightly different floppy drives. But you've got to have your wires in the right place or else it ain't going to play ball. Right, okay. Let's drop that in. There we go, that's going to work, isn't it? Yeah, that's going to work quite nicely there now. That will go. Hopefully that's going to be right. Plugs in like that. We may have enough on there if we had to give it a twist, but I think that's going to work. Plug that back in. Slot that down. Ooh, it would be tight. I would probably have to change the cable if we do have to put a twist in that, but I think that should actually work there. Right, let's get that cage screwed back down. And then what I may actually do is connect the monitor back up, and I'll have to connect the keyboard back up as well, won't I? Because there's no external keyboard input on this thing. We'll have to use the built-in keyboard. I was wondering if we could actually at that point actually boot from a floppy disk, but what we might do is put, once this is secure, so I'm not going to drop anything out of it, if I can put one in there and it'll be fine. I'll put them on after, before I put the whole thing back together. But what I might do now, get this screwed in so it's not going to drop out or anything, and I think everything in here is reasonably secure. I'll put the power supply back in, all this is back in. That's only held in with 2 screws, but it's not going to drop out for the moment. So what I'll do is I'm just going to have a bit of a shift round, and we'll pull the bridge PC out, and we'll take a look at the hard drive, this Connor hard drive, out of this thing, and see what we can do about archiving the data that's actually on there, because I think that's quite interesting, everything that's on there, and I don't want to lose it. And then we can actually look at putting this thing a little bit more back together and giving it a try, and see if the one little upgrade that I have fitted is actually going to do anything and work. I'm not going to let you have a look at that yet, but I have put an upgrade in this computer already, which we can have a look at the end. Right, so I will reset all the camera and everything, and we can have a look at that hard drive. So back in a sec. Right, we're back, and as you can see, the computer is all back together. This is actually the following day. I've had a couple of issues with my compact flash card, and I've lost a little bit of footage, basically what I was filming last night. So I thought I'd do a quick bit of a recap. Basically, the hard drive in here is quite interesting. I tried accessing it using my Windows 98 Bridge PC there, and I connected it up on the secondary channel of that computer and got that computer to boot up. And it would see the hard drive. Obviously the IDE controller auto detected the hard drive, no problem. Fire it up into Windows and it couldn't see it at all. Go into DOS, couldn't see it at all. Type F disk and it actually comes up, but it actually comes up as two different basically portions of the hard drive. So the hard drive's been split into two different systems basically. So you've got a DOS system on it, which is like most of the hard drive, like 30 odd megabytes of the hard drive of this one partition on the hard drive is the standard DOS, and that's got DOS and the other operating system on there, the Flex OS on there. But it's also got another partition on that hard drive, an 8 megabyte partition, and that is actually a completely dedicated CPM 86 hard drive partition. Now, at that point, I'm trying to think, I really want to recover, save that data on there, but how do I save that CPM 86 stuff as well? So what I thought I'm going to do, I need to do some more research on how to actually archive both partitions on that drive. I don't have enough knowledge at the moment to figure out what I'm really doing, because I've never worked with CPM on a hard drive. I've only ever worked with CPM, well, on 8-bit systems and just on floppy disks. So I think I've got a lot of working out, because like I said, I would really like to archive them two partitions and perhaps like upload them to somewhere like archive.org or somewhere that perhaps someone that's working on one of these things and actually wants to get the original software onto it has got a resource, because I don't know if that software is actually available anywhere for people that, like I say, are stupid enough like me to like messing with this stuff. But that leaves us with a bit of a dilemma. I want to mess with this computer. I really, really want to play with this computer, but I don't want to, start deleting stuff off that hard drive and messing about with that hard drive. So I think I've come up with a solution. Yeah, I could pull it out and we could put another spinning hard drive in there, but what I want to try is compact flash card. I've actually used this before in an older 386 computer, actually an old laptop, so it was just 2.5 inch there. I've just dug this adapter out, which is the 2.5 to 3.5 inch adapter. So what my plan is to install this. In fact, come on, I'll get you over there and we can have a look what we're going to do here. So let me get you back over onto the computer like that. So there we go. So let me get my anti-static. What the plan is, here now, basically what I'm going to do is disconnect the hard drive. We'll take the power out of it and we'll disconnect the IDE header from it very gently. I don't want to damage anything. Right, there we go. And what I'm thinking, because this is tiny, we can find somewhere in here to basically hide this. What I'll do is I'll stick a bit of paper or something under there for now. Pin 1 on here, that's pin 1. Pin 1 usually goes to the red stripe, so I think this is actually going to have to sit in the computer upside down like that. And then we can plug the power in like that. Right, okay. So essentially this should you know, take over from the hard drive, and we're going to be able to use that compact flash. Well, this is the plan anyway. I'm not 100% sure whether this is going to work. The last time I did this, it was actually on a 386. I had a slightly more advanced BIOS on this. It actually had hard drive auto detect in the BIOS, and that just detected that as, I think, like a 61 megabyte hard drive or something like that, and it works absolutely fine. I think, in fact, that's got like DOS 5 and even a couple of games and stuff on it. So what I want to see if I can do is just figure out whether any of them like type numbers in the BIOS are going to allow me to use this compact flash card. So what I'll do is I'll get set up with keyboards and what have you, and we can see what we can do and see if we can actually get this computer to work with that compact flash card. So back in a sec. Right, okay, I've got the compact flash installed in the computer. It's that 64 megabyte one I just showed you. Now what I'm doing, I've had to set it up like this because this is the only way I can actually work on the computer and be able to use a screen and keyboard with it at the moment. So I've got this resting there on a couple of old disk drives at the back to stop it falling over, and I've actually taken the keyboard out of the case, and I've just got this sat on my knee so I can actually operate it. Now unfortunately I don't think you're going to be able to make out what's actually on that screen. I'll get you in a little bit, so I'll have to kind of explain to you what I'm doing now. Obviously this is quite a primitive BIOS on this, and all it gives us is type numbers for the hard drive. So what I'll do, I can boot into BIOS if I press Control Alt and S on the keyboard. I don't think I pressed the right thing then. Feature control, shadow back. No, I've got S. It's like the computer booting. No, basically I'm just going to try and get it to boot into the BIOS, which obviously it won't do. Right there, it's come up missing operating system. So we hit Control Alt and S on the keyboard. This brings us into the BIOS. Now we've got the hard drive types. If you remember before when we was actually using the proper hard drive from this, it's type 17, and we know that's a 40 megabyte hard drive. Now what I'm going to do, basically, I've got that set to type 1 there. Now I've already done type 1, so we'll move on to type 2. And what I'm actually doing is I'm seeing if there's a hard drive type on this that's actually going to match the 64 megabyte compact flash that we're using, or indeed if we can find something that's larger. And the way I'm doing it, so I've got that set to type 1, I'll now set that to type 2. So we'll go down there. I don't think you can actually see what I'm doing, but I've just set the hard drive disk number 1 to type 2 there on the actual screen. I'll restart the computer, and let's see. Now it's either going to do one of two things. It's either going to just tell us we've got a missing operating system, or it's going to come up with an error. If it's going to come up with an error, we're going to move on. If it's going to come up with missing operating system, yeah, there, if you see it says missing operating system. I'm going to see if I can get that a little bit clearer. I've got to be so careful how I touch this screen there, or else it's going to fall over. Now hopefully you can see, might be able to see that a bit better, but it says missing operating system. So what we'll do, put a boot disk in, Control Alt Delete to restart the computer, and we'll get it to boot from the floppy disk. Now I've just got an old Windows 98 boot disk in here, so what I'll do, as soon as it starts booting, I'll hit Shift and just bypass all the Windows 98 bootness, like the boot menu and everything. We just want DOS. There we go, Windows is bypassing your startup files, and then we want F-disk. And if we look here, it says display partition information. So it has actually recognised that compact flash as a hard drive. So if I press 4 now to display the information and enter, we can actually see the hard drive correctly there. It's C, it's a primary DOS partition, and it's got MS-DOS 5 on it. It's 61 megabytes, FAT16, and the usage is 100%. But the hard drive it actually is seeing now as the Type 2 hard drive is 20 megabytes. So basically what I'm doing is I'm going to go through and I'm going to write all those sizes down, the ones I can get out there. I think some will probably error out, but so we know that Type 2 is meant to be a 20 megabyte hard drive, and what I want is to see if I can find some. I don't think we'll actually get this hard drive to boot as it is, but I want to see if I can find something that's close enough to 61 megabytes, and we'll see if we can format that compact flash to actually work as that, and see if we can get it to boot. Right, so we've done that one. That's 61 megabytes. Sorry, that's 20 megabytes. So if I escape out of that, we'll restart the computer, take the disk out of the drive, and obviously it'll come back up with missing operating system again now. So we'll do the Control Alt and S to bring us back into the BIOS, and we'll move down to from Type 2 to Type 3, hit escape, and then we'll do it again. Now I think there's about 40 odd different type numbers on here, so this might take me some time to go through them all, so I'm not going to bore you with all that. I'll go through all these and then we'll come back at the end and see if there's anything we can actually do. Again, like I said, we've come up missing operating system there, so I'll put the boot disk in, Control Alt Delete. Obviously this is a Windows 98 boot disk, I'll just hit Shift, and just bypass the I said the Windows 98 boot menu. There we go, and then I can type fdisk. You don't even have to wait for it to come up because there's a keyboard buffer. Hit enter. There we go, and then again display partition information, so we'll go to number 4, hit enter, and there, this is telling us that number 3, so type number 3 on that BIOS is 31 megabytes. So anyway, I'm not going to bore you with this. I'll finish off going through all these and we'll see if we can find something that's going to work with this, close as we can find to that 61 megabyte compact flash card. So I'll back when I've actually got a few more results. Right, the results are in. I've literally done that with every single type of hard drive on the in the BIOS, from type 1 all the way right through to type 47, which is all the type numbers in there, and I've basically referenced what it's telling me the hard drive capacity for that type is. So like type 1's a 10 megabyte, type 2's a 20, type 3's a 31. Now some of them would not initialize it, just come up with an error, so I'll just put an F. So like type 4, I couldn't get it to work. I know, could it be that it was much bigger and it won't initialize with that compact flash card, and I need to use like a bigger one to try and get this to work? Anyway, I've basically gone through the whole lot, and what I've found, type 18, type 19, now 57 and 59 megabytes. I'm hoping actually I might be able to get that compact flash card to format as a 59 megabyte hard drive. Now the thing is that if these were spinning hard drives, this probably would not work. It just seems that compact flash cards, when you're using them as a hard drive, seem to be a lot more tolerant of doing things like this with it. So there's a very, very good chance I will get that compact flash card, the 64 megabyte compact flash card, to actually format as a 59 megabyte type 19 hard drive on here and actually get it to work and boot. But what we'll do now, I need to fish out some DOS disks, and obviously I need to put this into a little bit of a better state. Actually at this point I might actually just put the computer back together, and we will see if we can get the DOS to install on that compact flash. I mean, if it doesn't work, we can always revert back to the original hard drive. But for now, like I said, I'd like to leave that hard drive disconnected. I think I'm going to actually leave it in the computer, because at least then it's safe until I can do some work upstairs, get my bridge PC upstairs set up, and we'll have another go at seeing if we can extract the rather interesting two partitions that are on that hard disk. Anyway, like I said, I'll get all this tidied up a little bit and we'll come back and see if we can install an operating system on that compact flash. So back in a sec. Right, okay, we're back, and as you can see, it's all back together. with the compact flash in there. So if I switch on now, hopefully you're going to be able to see this screen. I know it's going to be very difficult because we still have to fix this screen, but I'm hoping you can actually possibly see what's going on the screen there. We've got a invalid configuration there. Press F1. Oh dear. Well, that's going to be a pain. And I had actually changed that faulty battery inside. That's some of the footage that I actually lost. I wonder when I put this back together I forgot to plug that back in. But never mind, that's not going to stop us for now. Because we know which the type of hard drive that we want. So we'll just press F2 for now. And we'll reset this up, and I will have to go back in there and just make sure that I've obviously, when I was putting it back together, not connected that new CMOS battery, because I have just basically put a little CR32 in there with some contacts with some tape round it, plugged into the original battery connector, and it was working. It was saving the settings and everything, but obviously then when I took it all apart to put it all back together, I think I forgot to actually reconnect it. Now we want a type 19 hard drive, so we will go down to hard disk there, and we will go up to type 19, there we go. So and then we'll press escape on that. It should come back in, but it should basically come up and tell us missing operating system. So let's see if that's going to do it. There we go, missing operating system. Right. Now I've actually got a set here. I've got MS-DOS version 5, which is what I'm planning to actually run on this for playing about with. So let's see if we can get this to install. I'll put the first disc in, and I haven't tried this. I have just made these discs, so hopefully they're going to work. So we'll do a Control-Alt-Delete, and hopefully they should now boot from this floppy disk. Keep your fingers crossed. I hear floppy drive activity. That sounds very much like that's booting from that disk. Right, excellent. So far so good. So it's actually booted into the setup thing. Right, what we want to do now though, I want to actually get out of this setup. Can you? It's just a real shame you can't see everything that's going on. You're just going to have to listen to me. I can't even plug in the other monitor and do this because it won't show anything under DOS on the second monitor. That's something we're going to have to look at in an upcoming video. So anyway, let's get out of this. Let's press F3, and then we'll press F3 again. F3. Oh, Y. Right, and then press Y. Okay. And then we want to type F disk. Enter. Right, excellent. I want to display the partition information. Let's see what we've got here. So there we go. Oh, pressing the wrong button there. Right, so we've got a primary DOS partition, MS-DOS, and it's a 61 megabyte partition, and that's the problem because our hard drive is 59 megabytes. So this is where we need to do a little bit of fiddling about and basically make it fit. So what's on there already, we are going to have to lose all that. Right, so if we escape out of that, unless we can set active partition, I don't think that will work though. So let's press number 2. Enter. See, it's the only starting position on drive 1 is already set active, but it won't work because it's the wrong size. So what we want to do, we'll escape out of that, and we want to delete partition a logical DOS drive. So we'll go to number 3, press enter, and we want to delete the primary DOS partition. There's nothing important on there anyway. It's only got DOS 5 on it and a few games, so we're not losing anything. Oh, we want to delete C. Is it 1? 1. There we go. Sorry. Enter. Enter volume label. What is the volume label on it? Is MS-DOS 5. So that's MS/DOS underscore 5. Enter. Are you sure? Yes, I am sure. Yes. Enter. Right, so that's deleted the primary DOS partition on there. So we'll escape out of that. And we want to create one now. So we'll go to number 1, hit enter, create primary DOS partition. And this is, if this doesn't work, then this has all been a failure, and we're going to have to go back to square one. For current fist disk drive 1, press escape to return. And that has crashed at that point. Damn it. Right, let us restart the computer at this point and see if we can get any further. So Control Alt Delete. And we'll just boot from that disk again, and we'll see if we can get any further on with this. It might be that this is not going to work. I was hoping I'd be able to get around, get away with it, because I have done in the past doing this, but possibly not in this instance. But we'll reboot the computer and we'll see if we can make this partition active. If not, then like I said, we're back to the drawing board. We'll just have to reconnect up the old hard drive and take it from there. Right, so F3, and then we'll press yes. Right, so we're down there, so we'll type fdisk, enter. Right, let's see if we can create a DOS partition. Well, let's display the partition information first and see what it's telling us. It's still telling us there's a primary DOS partition there. We want to see if we can delete that. So escape out of there. Let's go to number 3. Hit enter. Let's try number 3, delete non-logical DOS drives. No logical DOS drives to delete. So let's go to number 1, let's hit escape, and we'll go to delete again. 1, enter. Let's see if we can delete this time. So delete 1, enter, enter volume label is nothing, enter. Are you sure? Yes, enter. Right, now escape. We want to create that primary DOS partition. This is where we crashed last time. Let's see if it's going to crash again. Enter, create primary DOS partition, enter. Current fist disk drive 1. Enter, and yeah, no, it's crashed again. So it doesn't look like we're going to be able to get away with doing it that. In fact, there's one last thing we can quickly try. I'm just going to try doing it as a different type of hard drive, just in case that's going to make any difference. So I'll pause the video and we'll see if we can get back up to where we are now, but using the Type 18 hard drive, which is a 57 megabyte rather than the 19, which was the 59 megabyte. So back in a sec. Right, well, unfortunately, no matter what I try, I cannot get that to work. I was hoping, I'd get successful, because I have done that in the past and used a SD card as an IDE hard drive. But with the basically with the limitations of the BIOS that we've got in this thing, I don't think it's going to work. Mainly because we've got no way of setting the cylinders, heads or sectors. We're just relying on the different types in there, and just being able to find something that would, you know, match well enough with that SD card that we could get it to work. I thought we might have had it with that 59 megabyte, what was it, Type 19, but no, we could not get that to work, unfortunately. So, and really this video is already getting ridiculously long, so I'm going to leave it there for now. At least what we can do, seeing we've got the working floppy drive in there, if I stick a disc in with a game on it, I'll do a DIR. At least we can run a game. Now this again was where it's going to be weird, because although it's still displaying something on that screen, if you look, we're actually loading the game on this screen here. It actually looks fairly good. I mean, it's just basic VGA, but it doesn't look bad at all. This screen's kind of like messed up at this point. We've got like two images up at the top there of basically that, and then just various bits of text and stuff down the screen. And there we go, we've loaded. And actually, this is about the right, you know, speed and era of computer for a game like this. This should actually work quite nicely. Obviously I've got no audio on it at the moment. Now I did actually put a sound card in this. That was the card that I was talking about before. Unfortunately I think there must be an IRQ conflict with one of the something internal to this computer, so I'm going to have to do some more playing about. But what I stuck in was my basically it's an ad-lib clone, because really a 386, you know, what's it, a DX20. The other thing I was considering using was that, which is basically just a Sound Blaster clone, but this needs, you know, drivers and things to run it, and it's really designed for a later system, as where the card that I have actually put in here, that are ad-lib clones, should be ideal for things like this. Oops, and I'm dead. Never mind. But yeah, so basically I think we've got an IRQ conflict, because I should be getting audio when I'm playing this game through it, and it's not working. So that's something else we're going to have to look at. I might actually leave this computer for a few videos, because there's some other things I want to play about with. But when we come back to this, one of the things we're going to have to do is we're going to have to sort this screen out. We're going to have to see if we can figure out a way of actually getting what that's displaying on an external monitor, rather than this weird kind of showing some parts on here, some parts on there, and not actually being able to like use DOS or anything on the external monitor, which is really, really strange. And I really need to find out some way of getting a different hard drive in this. We also need to have another go at getting that hard drive that's in this to actually get recognised in another computer properly, and see if we can, like I said, if we can image those two partitions on the hard drive, because that looks quite interesting, that CPM 86 partition. I don't want to lose that. I do want to preserve everything on there. Hopefully we can get some form of solid state solution to work in here, or we can find another hard drive, something possibly a little bit bigger, you know, 100 megabytes, something like that, 200 even, that we can maybe get to work in here. We are really, really limited by the fact we've only got that one ISA slot in there. Otherwise I'd be considering, do I just stick a SCSI card in it and put a, you know, 500 megabyte gigabyte SCSI hard drive in there and be done with it. That's kind of like the way I've been going with my Apricot Zen rather than its original RLL hard drive. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there for now because this video has already got ridiculously long, but at least we've made some progress. You've seen inside it. We've found out it's not exactly as the service manual that I've got describes it. I think this is probably like a later revision of it, and they've slightly cost reduced it and stuff with it, just having the 4 megabytes soldered to the board and no SIM sockets to expand it. The fact that they've moved things around, it's only got 1 ISA slot where the one in the service manual has 2 ISO slots and stuff like that. Anyway, like I say, I'm going to leave it there for now. I hope you enjoyed this little update on the project, and like I said, you will be seeing this again fairly soon, but I think in the next video I might just do something else to break things up and have a little bit of a change. So I'll say thanks for watching and goodbye.